The lady's got another 3-year contract, superintendent of school.
I thought you got 1 year.
Okay.
I thought it was 1 except.
Call the meeting to order at 5:32. Everyone have a chance to review the minutes?
Yeah, I think they're so,
There needs to be some corrections to the minutes. It has to be seconding some of the motions, and I wasn't here, unless I could do it over the phone or abstention.
And you did it.
The first page where it says
And-
20 minutes. it
and
says
all of the
on there,
votes-
It should be Mr. Dooley.
Right, and all of the votes were 4-0, and they should be 3-0 in all cases.
No, 4-0.
4-0. 5.
1, 2,
Right,
3,
okay.
4,
no,
5.
the 4-0 is fine, yeah.
And then the last page has a 3-0. Bill left,
left.
okay.
That should have been correct.
So that all needs to be changed then. Okay.
So I vote that we accept the minutes as amended.
I second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Bills?
She's gonna hand them all at once.
These are public meeting notices, I don't have
Yes,
to.
That's it. I put them in there in case you guys want to go to them. If anyone wants to attend or anything.
Correspondence. Planning Board's gonna hold a hearing on October 17th to discuss, to talk about amendments for the medical marijuana bylaws. Board of Appeals, October 16th, for variance from the bylaws to allow construction of a single-family dwelling in a water resource protection overlay district, Zone 2, with less than the 45,000 square feet. It's on King Philip Street. The Planning Board's gonna hold a hearing for the zoning bylaw amendments at its regularly scheduled meeting, October 17th. It's all to do with the medical marijuana stuff. Gonna have a hearing. What's this?
At the end of this.
Signs not requiring, oh, that's part of that, okay. Public notice from the Army Corps of Engineers. What's this one for, Gail?
South Coast Road.
Okay, so if you want to read that, it's here. Site visits,
Discuss this one.
yeah. We have a email from the King Project on 512 South Street East. They want to have a site meeting. Either, I saw it somewhere, that could be Tuesday afternoon, or first thing Friday morning next week.
They haven't decided on that yet?
It looks like they're heading towards Friday morning
I thought they said Friday somewhere.
at 9 a.m.
Must be a different page.
Am I wrong? No, yeah, I thought the last email that I read was, somebody said okay for Friday morning. And I think it was Marty.
Okay. How many people feel that they may be able to attend?
Next Friday morning, the 11th?
10th. 11th.
11th.
11th at 10.
11th at 9.
11th at 9, yeah.
Not the 9th at 10.
Who feels that they would be able to attend?
I don't think I'll be able to go. I'm not sure, but
Well, that being said, we need to post a meeting.
Post it at the beginning of the week.
At the 512 South Street East. Friday morning at 9 o'clock. Just in case we have a quorum, then at least we're safe.
sounds like a plan.
So if you could reply to that for
Yep.
us. Informal. Certificate of compliance for DEP file number SE 269-595, Chad Lincoln, 11 Maple Street.
I reviewed the file for this, and then contacted Mr. Silva about the recharge, roof recharge that was called for, and a couple of minor deviations from the approved plan. I didn't think they were major. This is one of those where the contractor had done all that work and on the crimson, that whole area. So Mr. Silva revised his letter and updated the as-built plan, so I think it's all set. What I would recommend is, if you vote to, I recommend that we're issuing the certificate of compliance, and, but where it says, you want to put an ongoing conditions, okay? The ongoing condition is that the property shall maintain, because Mrs. Silva really did not see the recharge system, just like what happened with SciTech. All the roof downspouts are in the ground. Obviously, it's been working for more than 4 or 5 years, so, but you want to put a note that says that an ongoing condition that the property owner shall maintain in perpetuity a functioning roof drain recharge system, because that's what is, okay? That way the commission is protected, that says, you know, even though you did not witness it, if somehow it's working, so you want to require that in perpetuity, an ongoing condition is that they maintain a functioning roof drain recharge system on the site.
Anyone from the public have anything to say?
Larry Silver from Silver Engineering. Only if you need any further clarification.
I'm just giving you the public the opportunity.
Like I said before, this whole neighborhood has been a hassle since day one. And this is not the first one we're gonna come across.
Right.
It's just gonna continue until everybody gets them up there.
Okay, do we have a motion?
You looking for a motion?
I'll make a motion that we issue the certificate of compliance for DEP file number SE 269-595, Chad Lincoln, 11 Maple Street, with the ongoing condition that the homeowner observe and keep the, whatever Azu said.
The roof drainage.
The roof drain working properly.
The drain to perpetuity, yeah. And I'll second that. Motion as long as you get the wording correctly.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed. Certificate of compliance for DEP file number 269-607. Seven.
So pretty much the same identical situation. So I'll make the same recommendation as made on the other one.
Same with the drain.
That the roof drain be maintained in, a functioning roof drain recharge system be maintained on site by the property owner in perpetuity.
Okay, I'll make that motion. For DEP file SE 269-607, Rick and Taryn Nichols of 76 Crimson Street, that they maintain the roof drain, is it?
Roof drain recharge system.
System in perpetuity as a condition.
Second.
Second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Certificate of compliance, DEP file number 269-0878.
Okay, this one here, fairly, all set. I mean, that's a little bit of dirt, debris here and here that need to be cleaned up, but other than that, it's really all set.
No special,
No.
This is the one across from Hewitt's Pond, the driveway.
So are we all right? So this is all set, we're good to go, we can make a motion on this one? All right, I'll make a motion that we issue the certificate of compliance for DEP file number SC 269-0878, Manuel Almeida, 980 North Main Street.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So ordered.
Good night, Larry.
Continued cease and desist for George Bamilla. Is there anything on that tonight?
No, last time, I mean, there's not an ongoing issue there, but George was going to be available last Friday, but I wasn't going to be available, so I told him I'll give him a shout. And maybe we can meet this Friday.
Yeah.
Enforcement order for RK Associates, 600 South Street West.
We have on that one, we don't have any information on whether they appealed it to the Superior Court or not. The 60-day appeal period has run out, but in reality, if they sent out a notice by certified mail, it could still come up through at least, you usually give a week from the deadline. Okay, if they sent out at 5 p.m. on the deadline, it'll take another 3 or 4 days to get here. So I don't believe they did ever contact the office, the engineer, asking a question about how to do an ad for a notice of intent. So I would assume that asking those questions and suggest that they are moving in that direction. But I think the commission already voted that the fine will be running. And then I think at some point, we're gonna send them a notice to pay up.
I agree. And it's the original, I forget what it was.
It was $6,300, then plus $100
Plus
a day.
$100 a day since September or something, 4th, I think.
Yeah, the only, the one issue that I took with that was at the last meeting, the fine originally was issued as of the date that they were supposed to file by.
Correct,
It was August something.
right.
And at our last meeting, we said the $100 a day from the meeting date, not from the date that the fine was actually implemented.
You had $6,300, that's already a standard.
Correct.
And then you said $100 per day from
When we said it at the last meeting, we said from the meeting before or whatever it was, when in all actuality, the fine began when they didn't file on the 26th.
You should have done it that way, but you gotta stick with what you actually
Okay,
voted.
I just
You can't
wanted
change that.
to clarify
Yeah.
that fine, the $6,300 actually became in effect
Yeah, it's already. in
on
effect.
that 26th when they did not.
Well, that's how you voted it. It
Yeah.
was $6,300 plus
And your point is,
Plus
Bill, that
the-
we should have put a fine $100 day on the 27th of
From then
August,
forward,
28th,
right, yes,
Instead
but
of September 4th.
we've
Right.
already voted it,
I know,
but
it's,
that's
but,
they probably saved $1,000 right there.
okay, yeah.
But we're at $10,000 now, at least.
Was there an out for them, that the fine
No,
would be
what-
waived if they complied?
There was an out
Initially,
when they were gonna file.
A notice of intent.
But then they came in here like gangbusters, saying you don't have jurisdiction. And then saying that, we're gonna, we reserve the right to take legal actions, or what have you, which would be basically appealing, They came in here trying to intimidate the commission, and then arguing that a resource that everybody knows is a bank resource, it's not a resource. Okay, so, and they've contacted the office trying to schedule a time to come and look at the 2004 maps that Kevin brought, as the attorney. Okay, let's forget the historical stuff. What about 2004? And he didn't have an answer for that.
And
But
today, Today-
Go back to your dates. We found the enforcement order on the 28th. Or was it 21st?
No, you voted the enforcement order
In July,
in July.
Oh, it was
we
July.
gave them
July 29th.
until the 21st in the beginning, till the 19th in the beginning,
Of August.
and then we gave them an extension to the 26th to file the notice of intent.
right.
They did not file a notice of intent by the 26th. They didn't file the RDA until the week of the second week.
The 31st, I think.
Yeah, then they,
So they've gone on and on and on. And then today, they met with Randy, and Randy came downstairs questioning Gail on what's going on over there. All they did was put in riprap.
so I tried
So-
to give Randy a history of what was going
It's
on.
the same site we're talking?
Same site. And they want to be treated fairly. I think we've gone over and above.
Mm-hmm.
We've been more than fair.
Well,
In what business,
I'll hold my comment, I guess.
So,
it's state law.
Yeah. I mean, they,
It's state law.
And
They-
we've kept the DEP totally in loop since day one,
So,
so. No, they made their own,
They can argue all they want, but at the end of the day,
The law
our
is the law.
decision, and it is what it is.
I mean, they had, matter of fact, you bent backwards, because you would not have given them even a shot at, getting back the fine if they were compliant, okay? They chose, and I said it at the last meeting, that I was totally flabbergasted.
Right.
That they came in here saying, oh yeah, we're gonna cooperate, but then they took the attitude of hiring a lawyer and then saying, hey, by the way, you don't have jurisdiction. We agreed to fix it. We just don't think you have jurisdiction. Well, then why are you agreeing to fix it if we don't have jurisdiction? And if you had agreed to that, then you're saying you acted inappropriately by issuing of an enforcement order. That would have been the effect of agreeing with them, it's ridiculous.
The issue was that they did not want to set a precedence that had already been set
Right.
years prior.
Yeah.
A question, Azu. Even though we're the jurisdiction where they did a violation on the Commonwealth of Mass property, does DEP have more teeth than we do to correct this?
Yeah, but no, it still starts with us. It still starts with the commission. The ownership is irrelevant in terms of enforcement, okay? As a matter of fact, it is important, but DEP, it's not an arm of MassDOT. MassDOT just happens to be an owner of the property where a violation occurred. So, right, so DEP will not treat it any different than it would have treated Joe Schmuck, whose property was,
Okay, all right. I didn't know if maybe we could turn this, or get some help from DEP
Well, they did say whenever we made
as far as
copies,
enforcement of this.
right, we've made
Pushing
every
this
copies
along.
of they have all the documents from day one
Okay.
of all our correspondences. the
Yeah, no, I
enforcement
know,
code.
I know we did that.
Yeah,
And just as a follow-up, Tom McGuire did call this week to see if we had heard anything. And he just wanted to be kept in the loop because he hasn't heard anything either. Mass
that's
Highway.
that, yeah.
So I gotta ask, how did he get left with Randy?
We don't know, I have to
He's
call him
gonna call
tomorrow
tomorrow.
and find out, but he came down
He
and
just wanted to know what was going on.
started questioning Gail because they wanted to be treated fairly.
And this board has treated them
Exactly.
with the
That's-
utmost respect and fairness.
Much more than we've been returned.
Exactly.
So,
Okay.
How does the jurisdiction work? Do we have jurisdiction?
Yeah.
And we have a third party that agrees that we have jurisdiction. Marty went out and looked.
exactly.
So we have that.
Yeah, Mazdad agrees you have jurisdiction.
On their
because of
property.
their property, they filed
Right,
as
okay.
well. And these people here, and doing a double take, okay, 2004 is a record on the property that says not just the bank, but actually a border and vegetative wetlands
Flag.
associated with the bank.
So it's been
It's
flagged.
been, flat, yeah.
1973, it shows moving the stream with a Mass DOT permit.
Yeah.
So
So,
they could put the
But, you
building
know,
up.
and it was flagged by one of the gentlemen that does an awful lot of work, Walter Hewitson, in his town, that we've had nothing but success working with him.
So it's definitely well
So we're-
documented,
It's well documented, all
well,
the ducks
and
are
I
in
think, and I think they,
probably more documented than
you
most
know, it's
things.
one of those cliches, you know, of the best defense is an offense, you know? They decided to go on the offensive instead of saying, wait a minute here, let cool heads prevail, okay? They shot and then they ask questions later.
In the formal Two T's Realty Trust continued to October 18th. They paid up and did everything they were supposed to this time?
And they brought some plants into that too.
They're all set.
All right,
What's taking them so long to?
Is it planning board still?
planning board.
Well, I talked to the town planner today, and he indicated that the status of the road, roadway notwithstanding, that the planning board will go forward with their review, you know. If the planning board approving it, it has nothing to do with, you know, the ownership or private or public of the road, which was a hangar. And they determined that they could go forward, so they will move forward with the hearing tomorrow for the planning board.
I
So it looks
I
like we
believe
had-
when this project started, way,
This is
long
way-
time
way
ago,
back.
Yeah.
it was actually slated to cross the river with a bridge. That's why the road ends where it does,
Mhm.
and that's why this lot is at the end of a road. And then all that fell through as the economy turned 20 years ago. So that all is over with.
So this should be our last continuance, hopefully, if it's looked at tomorrow by planning.
Hopefully.
We need a motion to continue again?
No, you already
We're
continued.
good?
Already continued.
Oh, so we're good.
You've got to make a motion to continue until the 18th.
We have to make a motion
Right,
to
because
continue,
they sent us a letter to continue.
to
They haven't
request
voted.
it.
To request a continuation
I thought
again.
We got a letter last meeting and continued to the 18th.
Which is,
Not today.
Where's the minute? Where's the minute
Okay.
say?
Yes.
Is that
oh,
correct?
so it's not, we're not ready to continue them until the
So,
18th.
so they actually continued it for 2 meetings?
Right.
Just to give enough time?
Right.
At the very end.
Okay.
We talked about,
No, it continues to October 2nd.
Okay, so we need a motion to
So we
continue.
need a
Okay, so you need a
Continue.
motion to
All
continue
right,
to the
I'll
18th.
I'll make a motion that we continue the notice of intent, DEP 269-0890, 2 T's Realty, 152 Forge River Parkway, map 14, parcel 2420, to be continued to October 18th meeting.
Second.
Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Continue. One more thing that I'd like to do tonight is reorganization. It's my belief that we should reorganize on a yearly basis. We have 5 members now. We certainly can do that. I would like to go to co-chairs, and every July, switch. One moves into the chair position, to the first position, and then you put a new person in. I think that it's fair to everybody, and everything's working right now. I'm,
Go ahead.
at this point in time, I would like to turn it over to someone else and help them along. This board, in years prior, always, the first meeting in July, would reorganize. And that's the way it should be, so that no one sits in this chair for too long of a time.
Well, Mr. Chairman, I have told you informally several months ago that I have no desire for the chairmanship, so I would respectfully take my name out of it.
Well, and that's what I was going to say. In a perfect world, it would work good that everybody moves up every other year. But once again, like Paul just said, that taking his name out of it makes that complicated. So I think reorganization is a good thing, fine thing, but I think it has to be on who wants what position. I don't think you can mandate it to follow consecutive, everybody moves up. And I will say, in the past, we have had issues with keeping members. This is, knock on wood, the longest we've kept one group of people actively on the board, which is great.
No, yeah, you, I think if I'm in office, I'm not a member, but I can probably throw in some 2 cents. Have you guys had a history of co-chairmanship?
Yes.
Okay. So then, yes, if Paul takes himself out of it, all it simply means is that the rotation period becomes shorter. In other words, if you have a co-chair of, let's say, Bill, and the next July he becomes the chair, and then you have Kevin as co-chair, and Bill drops out, then the following subsequent year, you can rotate it, and it goes back to David, goes back to Bill, and I think Paul taking himself out just shortens the cycle.
Right.
Now, that's all it does, it shortens the cycle. So that if you were gonna have a 3 or 4 year period before somebody gets back in, it now becomes a 2-year period or whatever, you know?
Like I said, the concept, right, I just disagree a little bit with making it structured like that. I think it should be, would you like to be chairman? Would you like to be co-chairman? All in favor? Aye. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, no, I think that's basically what he said, though.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's putting into it a rotating basis, and that gets very complicated with people leaving, personal issues that come up, whatever.
Yeah, well,
It makes it a little
Well,
complicated.
as long as it stays open, not to rotational as we sit
Right.
currently,
Right.
but rotational as
No
who
one
wants to
person-
do it, and then that person, you do it for a year as chairman, co-chair.
Yeah, right.
The co-chair moves up, who wants to be co-chair? If somebody doesn't want to be co-chair,
Yeah.
then they're not mandated to be co-chair.
Well, then that's, I guess that's
Yeah,
the
they're not
correct-
mandated
That's
to
the
be
correct
co-chair.
word.
They're not
I
mandated to
don't
be
wanna see
co-chair.
this mandated.
Yeah.
So if somebody's looking to be chair, then they should, respectfully
Everyone should have the
request-
opportunity.
Right, they should
Absolutely.
respectfully request, I'd like to be co-chair this year, because I'm looking to chair next year.
Yeah.
It's almost kind of like a train the trainer, it's
Yeah.
very common in the military,
Right.
a left seat, right seat, they call it, train somebody up, and then that person becomes chair the next year. Who would like to be co-chair for the next year?
Right.
They can kind of do a left seat, right seat, train up,
Right,
and then,
right.
Everybody should be given an opportunity.
Right,
to-
right, I think you're
But
mandated.
is
Right.
Is it,
Paul
is
Paul
it,
just-
is a year
right,
enough
right.
time? Should it
Paul
be
just said,
longer?
I don't want to do it, so that
That's fine.
automatically says he's not gonna be So there's no such
But that's
thing for
4 years
one-day
between,
co-chair. Yeah.
between cycles.
I think a year
Is
is
it-
probably, I think a year is probably the best, because if you do a 2-year, what if somebody is not appointed again for a 3-year term, and they're in the middle of that limbo year? So you do a 1 year at a time, everybody rotates through the seats, because if you do it 2 years, what happens if you only have a year left in your appointment? And you don't get
Well, then-
reappointment,
and
and
if
you're supposed to be
you're
there for 2 years?
Right, no, but if you're not reappointed,
Then it changes early.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, it'll reset
It doesn't
again.
matter that you were gonna be 2 years anyway. Because
It
if you're not
just-
reappointed, you're gone, and then you reorganize.
The only thing about the 1 year is that since we only meet twice a month, that's not a lot of meetings to establish yourself and make sure that you're heading things and you're leading in the right
Mhm.
direction. 2 years gives you a little bit more time
Right.
to learn the process. Although if you're gonna switch every year, then you'll get back again, so 6 of one, half a dozen of the other, but I think a yearly is
how do
maybe
the-
just a bit too short.
How do the other,
How does anybody else do that?
I know
Yeah.
Board of Selectmen rotates.
Because even if
Is it-
you have 2 years, like, well, to Bill's point, even if you did that 2 years and the person is not reappointed, because let's face it, we all want to be on this side of the grass for a while. But the fact is, you can be appointed, somebody can be, Kennedy was elected to a 4-year term. He didn't make it past 3 years, you know what I'm saying? And then, but the system continued. So you can do the 2 years, huh?
It's a drastic analogy.
I couldn't,
Please don't scare my
I
commissioners
couldn't,
away.
Maybe I don't want to be.
Like a grassy
No,
knoll
no,
analysis.
no,
What's
no.
going on here?
sorry.
My name off the list.
That's why I took my name out.
No, I couldn't
Next
think
month, we're
of,
gonna be looking for new consultants.
I couldn't think of two, sorry.
I think consultant's really good for 1 year. All in favor?
But to Bill's point, the 2 years makes sense. And then,
And you alternate
yeah,
every year, you move somebody else in, so
Yeah.
it's just a constant cycle.
How was the other conservation commissions run? Do they rotate yearly or 2 years, or do they rotate at all?
they give, in Bridgewater, the current chair has been chair for 5 years, because nobody else wanted to do it. That's all. But every year he'll bring it up, say, you know, guys, I'm kind of getting tired of being chair. I said, does anybody else, and everyone says, oh, Dick, you're doing a good job.
So it's on the books to change, but it's up to the committee to whether they change it.
Right.
Whether
It's-
someone wants to throw their name in
Right.
there.
It's not a law that says you have to change chair.
But that's pretty much how we've operated, right? I mean,
I mean,
We've
like I said,
gone
the history
years
was,
without it.
the history was, before we moved to this building, and just when we first started to move this building, we were having a hard time maintaining commissioners. So I was left in that position for probably 3-4 years. And then Bill asked to take it over, so I gave it to him, and he's held it now, what, 2 years?
Yeah, just about,
2 or 3 years now.
just about 2.
Just about 2. So we haven't had a lot of change. But before, we used to reorganize every time a new member came on board.
well,
Should
why
we
don't
do it every year? That's probably a good idea.
Why don't we just,
But isn't it gonna be almost 2 years if you're gonna be sitting in the seat for 1 year as co-chair?
And
And then you move
into
up, it's
chair.
gonna be
It's really gonna be a 2 years.
Yeah.
It's still 2 years.
So it's
Yeah.
a 2-year
Yeah, your
rotation,
first
it's a
year-
2-year cycle.
You see, you differentiate on a
So,
cool
yeah, it ends
chair.
up being 2 years.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Okay,
You know, like you said
so why
before.
don't we just agree that each year,
First of July
To
is when the appointments
reorganize,
are made, so
to
that's why it was
organize
done
for
then.
the upcoming year, and then follow this procedure with the co-chair. So if somebody maybe was co-chair and leaves the board, then we have to
You
go.
have a new co-chair.
Then we go
Then
to
we have to
another
reorganize
person
that.
and,
Yeah.
you know, to co-chair. So would you, well, first of all, we have to decide that we're going to do that, and then we have to get a co-chair, right?
Well, I guess, are we gonna start now with replacing everybody? Are we gonna start chairman and co-chair? If you leave Bill in for another year, that's a 3-year term he's had.
So,
Or do you move everybody around right now? That's the
Why-
question.
Why not leave Bill until July 14, I assume, Bill, I don't know if that's...
Well, first of all, you gotta ask Bill, does he want to continue?
Yeah, right.
And then you guys can say, okay, you can continue for a year, and then ask somebody else, do you wanna be a co-chair? I think that's the way you wanna do
Yeah,
that.
are you?
I think at this point, it makes sense if we bring someone new in as co-chair, they can have the learning curve. I would love to have been able to take tonight off and have,
Right,
you
no,
know,
I
that
hear you.
second person. And honestly, if the co-chair was ready to be chair in a couple of months, they can sit in this chair, you know?
But I don't get the comment, you would have liked to take tonight
It's
off,
his daughter's birthday, he would have loved to have been
but
home.
why couldn't you have?
Because I wanted to get this done. Since July, I've wanted to do this, and there's always been one thing or another at every meeting. Somebody wasn't here, whatever. So I've been wanting to do this, so I am here, so that this happens tonight.
Well, I guess the question is, Bill, are you willing to serve as a co-chair until,
That's it.
And as the
Yeah.
chair,
excuse me, chair, until the end of, the end of July 1st, 2014?
I would be.
You would be. So then we have to,
Then make a motion, so, make a motion, then you gotta make, if you say it, then somebody could, if you want to, make a motion to, have him a continuous chair for the next year, and then if you get a second of that motion, then you can have a discussion and then take a vote on it. And then you can ask anybody else who wants to be a co-chair. And then somebody makes a motion, because you can't make a motion for yourself. Somebody else has to make that motion.
well, I'll make
Right.
a motion then that that Bill remain as chairman until July 1st, I keep on saying
14.
2014.
I'll second that motion.
We have, who calls the vote on that?
Well, he can call that. He just not voting on it. Yes.
As long as we have a co-chair.
With a, yes, well, that's another,
Oh, I mean, we've always had a co-chair, we have a co-chair now.
not formally. I mean, anybody, I don't know.
I mean, all right, let's get this. We've had a co-chair since day one. When Bill is unable to officiate over the meeting because of a personal connection or whatever, you know, because I'm sitting here, I've always stepped in as a co-chair, so we do presently have a co-chair.
Yeah, but I'm not sure how that, the mechanism there, but
No, I thought it was,
informal.
unless I'm misunderstanding, I don't think there was a, I never understood that you guys had a form.
No, either.
The only thing I know is that
yeah.
none of these other guys was experienced enough when Bill wasn't here, if he had to step out to conduct a meeting. That's how I always thought it was. But that's, but that can still happen if you guys choose to.
Well, I think what happened, Dave, is that when Bill was not here, it just kind of natural that you, having been the former chairman, but I don't ever remember, the term co-chair being around. I did.
Well, I'm just
object.
referring to making, a little bit of a mountain of a molehill here, but, the minutes always reflected that it said co-chair, correct, Dawn? When you wrote the minutes, it always said co-chair?
No, I don't think so.
I always thought it
I've
did.
never seen that.
I don't know, that's why
A year and a half, I didn't know we had a co-chair.
Right, and I've been here longer than that, but anyway. So anyway, did we have a vote?
Well, we have a we're talking on the motion.
Yeah, we have a motion, a second, I guess we're in discussion.
That Bill will stay in as, until July 2014, and I guess part of that motion also, do we make that, roll that, and that a co-chair be selected to serve with him?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the whole thing in one
And
motion.
you're talking Bill Smith, because you have two Bills.
Bill Smith, yes, thank you, for the record.
All,
William Smith.
all in favor?
Well, any further discussion?
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Get the vote, you have it 3-1. So since it's 3-1, you need to note those in favor and those, right. And then Mr. Smith abstaining.
Now, co-chair? Anyone have any desire to put that in?
I've already expressed my,
Well, you can't really nominate yourself. It's kind of,
I'd be willing.
I'll nominate Bill Reynolds.
I'll second that
can I
nomination.
do that?
If he accepts.
Any discussion before you change?
yeah, well, he says he's nominated, he didn't say make a motion.
Would you like to
Oh,
accept the
what-
nomination?
Why don't you make,
Yeah, if you next, if you,
Kevin,
You've come,
quick,
I haven't
nominate
completed all
him.
my math classes yet, so.
Nominate him.
No, he was nominated.
Dave already did
Okay.
that.
I nominate, under Robert's Rules of Order, all we have to do is nominate him.
okay.
If he should choose not to accept the nomination, he would say,
Right.
I do not
Okay.
accept the nomination.
Okay.
But the nomination has been made and seconded, so now we can vote on it.
Any discussion? All in favor of Bill Reynolds as co-chair?
Aye.
Aye.
No.
Aye. Opposed? It's unanimous.
Hey,
Well, it's four, Bill.
I have to
Bill
abstain.
Smith Reynolds abstaining.
right,
Abstaining.
right.
I know you want to get out of here. Want to
So if you,
I'll call that. It's my move.
no, it's four.
No, Bill Reynolds abstained.
Bill Reynolds abstained. Bill
Because
Reynolds
he- because
abstained.
he's the-
As he could, because he's the nominee.
go? Did you want to, you could want to get out of here though, right?
Do you want
Soon as we
to
can.
entertain a motion, Mr. Chairman, to,
Real quick, well, maybe next meeting, we were coming up, I had, told Gail, well,
We actually need to schedule a hearing on it, correct?
yeah, but it doesn't have to be advertised. Because you already have the authority by the bylaw to raise fees. So, in the bylaw, it says that, your bylaw says that the commission shall have the authority to mandate consultant fees. Okay, not the filing fee is already under the local bylaw, already in effect. The fees for consultant, so that you don't have the issue of whether they're willing to pay for it or not. If you make it, which is example, the city of Brockton, that's what it does. At the time you file a notice of intent, part of the application fees that you pay is also the consultant review fee. Okay, so I've made some recommendations.
I made them copies also, they should
Oh,
have copies
okay,
in front of them.
great.
But the only thing I have to is say about that, we don't have any of these categories on the bottom that you put down there, so. We
So
only
you
have
add-
categories 1 through 4.
Yeah, so then you, you have through 6. Category 6 is for the ANRAD delineation, right? Because when people file ANRAD, it's under category Cs. that
Okay.
They have, that's what that is. That's category 6, all
Okay,
right? So that's where that will come into.
okay, so this is number 6. Under the ANRAD, okay.
Category 5, you don't usually have a lot of that, because you're not a coastal community. But you could have, for example, on the NIP. The NIP is part of, you have you have NIP in the town of Raynham, and the NIP is considered a great pond. So any pier that somebody's doing that actually requires a permit. So that will come under category number 5. All right. So these are, so you probably put it on, post it on the agenda for the next meeting. The other thing that I
Make a
will,
motion to schedule that hearing.
yeah. So the other thing I want to mention is, even with the certificate of compliance, you should have a review fee on that, consultant fee. So,
I'll make a motion that we schedule a hearing for October
18th.
18th to review consultant fees and the fees for certificate of compliances. Did I s-
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Hopefully I said that right.
Do we need selectmen approval?
no, because this is not money that goes to the town, this is money that the person gets back if it's not used up.
So you're just setting dollar value
Right,
consulting
right,
fees that
right.
we've already approved.
That's approved in our
That's all it
bylaw
is.
for the review, the third-party review. Now we're just saying, instead of just coming up with a number out of the air, we could say,
Right,
this is the number
This is
for this
what we can
category.
pay.
This is where we're
Exactly.
starting.
Yeah.
This
So
is where you
starting
start,
point.
then that way they all have an idea right away.
Yeah.
Okay,
Which
so-
is good,
So
makes
that they
sense.
don't think it's arbitrary,
Yeah.
and that you're picking on them.
Okay,
That makes sense.
Yep.
yep, I'm good with
Okay.
that.
One last motion.
Make a motion to adjourn?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned.